And in the beginning of it all, a middle-aged man Barl, a young man named Barl, concentrates on his training when suddenly his father begins to criticize him for being so old and not having given him any grandchildren yet. At this, he begins to get tough with Barl, saying that he does not have the slightest devotion to his family. Upon hearing this, Barl goes to the dojo, where he has been a master for about 20 years, and asks his father if his efforts as a master are not already a type of devotion. At this, the old man finally shows some kind of respect for his son's achievements and tells him to continue like this. As for Barl, he wonders how he can have children since he is not married yet, and as for his father, he reminds him that Barl trained several students, so one of them must be suitable for marriage. But upon hearing this, Barl makes it clear that the dojo is not a place for romance after all. The place is only made to teach the art of fencing. Well, as he continues on his way, Barl remembers his story in that dojo, and from the time he trained with the wooden sword until now, nothing has changed, as he has continued to strive with the same dedication as before, as Barl's dream since he was young was to be a great swordsman. And now in middle age, Barl feels that he has evolved as much as he would like, and although he does not consider himself the best swordsman in the world, he believes that he has a knack for teaching. After all, many of the students in his dojo have gone on to very successful careers. Well, when he returns home, he sits down to eat with his family when suddenly one of Barl's former students, Alucha, rings the doorbell. And when he sits down to talk to everyone, they discover that she has become a commander of the Royal Order of Knights. At this, Barl's father praises him a scotch, since he was the one who prepared the girl for the important position she had just received. As for Alucha, she gets straight to the point and says she's there to let them know that she recommended Barl as a special instructor for the Royal Order of Knights, and to their surprise, her recommendation was approved. So, she takes an official document out of her bag naming him as the organization's instructor. Upon seeing it, Barl is in disbelief and asks if she's playing some kind of bad joke on him. After all, he considers himself too outdated to train the order. As for Barl's father, he says that his son will be sentenced to death if he does not accept a royal request, so he begins to pressure him. At this, Alucha reassures everyone, saying that he will not suffer such a severe sentence. However, he will still reap considerable consequences if he refuses the order's appointment. Having said that, Alucha informs him that there is a carriage waiting to take them to the royal capital. Upon hearing this, Barl is startled, as she did not imagine that they would proceed with things so quickly. At this point, Alucha reminds him that the dojo doesn't open the next day, so his training schedule won't be affected if he only stays in the capital the next day. As for Barl's father, he advises his son to go to the capital as soon as possible and find a wife there. And as soon as he says this, he remembers Alucha and suggests that they have something. At this point, Barl tells her father to stop joking around. After all, the girl is much younger than him, but upon hearing this joke, Alucha whispers, saying that she doesn't care about the age difference between them. At this point, Barl hears her saying something, but doesn't understand anything, since she is whispering. As for her, Alucha disguises herself and says that she wasn't saying anything out of the ordinary. And well, after the conversation, they head to the capital by carriage. And on the way, Barl notices that the girl still has the sword that he usually gives to his students who graduate from the dojo. And then, he expresses his happiness in knowing that she kept her sword all this time. But at the same time, he states that a sword from a simple village blacksmith will not meet the needs of a commander. But upon hearing him say these things, Alucha corrects him and says that in fact that sword was made entirely for her. And continuing with the journey, Barl begins to wonder if he is really capable of being a special instructor. After all, he thinks too highly of himself to take on such an important position. And as for the girl, she says she is happy to know that the master swordsman from the countryside will finally have the opportunity to work in the capital. But upon hearing the term master swordsman, Barl asks who this person is, to which Alucha says she is obviously talking about him. And well, when night falls, they arrive in Baltrain, the royal capital, to which Alucha leaves Barl at an inn. And the next day, she takes him to the Royal Order of Knights and introduces him as an extremely powerful swordsman, to the point that not even she is capable of defeating him. And while listening to her, Barl is slightly frightened by the description she is giving about him, since he himself thinks she is exaggerating too much. And after that, he is put to give a speech to the soldiers, and he speaks with a certain insecurity, leaving some soldiers suspicious of his real competence. And after leaving the place, he talks to Alucha and discovers that he will only need to train the knights 3 or 4 times a month, so this will not interfere with the classes he gives at the dojo in his village. And suddenly, another of Barl's former students, Karuni, comes to the place screaming with joy when she sees him. As for Barl, he is happy to see that she has become a real knight. However, the girl says that she still has a long way to go, but even so, Barl says that she has already achieved the dream she had when she trained with him. In this, Karuni says she is excited to take classes with him again. And well, when she returns home, Barl meets another of her students, Randrid, who is now married and has children, so the young man decided to return to the village to live a more peaceful life, completely abandoning his journey as an adventurer. The young man says he feels a little bad about having to end his adventuring career, considering that he enjoyed Barl's teachings. However, he believes that continuing with this type of risky work could end up costing him and his family dearly. Upon hearing this, Barl says that he should make his decisions according to his wife's wishes, so if she agrees with him leaving the adventuring life, he should follow suit. And during the conversation, Barl discovers that her father made an offer to Randrid to take his place as master in the dojo, something that he only found out about now. With that, Randrid says he is willing to give his best in this new journey in his life as a trainer. Well, the next day, Barl returns to the capital and looks for a new place to live. After all, the inn he was staying at before is too expensive to maintain. Upon hearing this, Alucha thinks of some other place that is more affordable and that he can afford, and after thinking a little, she suggests that he stay at her house. However, Barl immediately refuses this somewhat inappropriate offer, and as for Alucha, she suggests that they take a break to eat something. But before they can continue with the plan, a random person on the street starts to trouble them, saying that Alucha, the commander of the order, is walking with a strange guy who looks like a coward. Upon hearing this, Barl starts to sweat as she realizes that she is attracting a lot of negativity by being around someone as well known as Alucha. At this point, he starts to slowly walk away, hiding his face, but Alucha recognizes the person behind the insult. In this case, it is a girl named Lysandra. She then walks away and leaves the troublemaker talking to herself, but when she notices that she is being ignored, Lysandra follows her and stops in front of her. At this, Alucha reminds her that she has nothing to talk about, but Lysandra continues with the insults from before, saying that a random face like Barl should not be called master under any circumstances. And as for Barl, he notices a specific necklace in the girl's neck and discovers that she is a black class adventurer. As for the girl, she observes Barl more closely and remembers that he was her master 20 years ago. In this, he forces his memory and remembers that she was a little girl that he rescued and taught the art of the sword. And well, after talking a little more, Lysandra asks why he is walking around with Alucha, and noticing the arrogant tone with which they said this, Alucha informs her that Barl has become the special instructor of the Order of Freedom, and since he needs to find a place to live, she is helping him with these issues, since she knows the capital better than he does. Upon hearing this, Lysandra reminds her that she was once a broker for adventurers, so she is more qualified to deal with these matters. And amidst discussions, the two manage to help him with a place to stay, but they continue to treat each other like cats and mice even though Barl asks them to get along. And the next day, Alucha takes Barl back to the Order of Freedom, where he will begin training the knights, until suddenly, the vice commander of the order, a man named Hemlet's Drought, goes to Barl and asks for a duel, as he wants to make sure that he really serves as a special instructor. And before the battle begins, Barl notices that he really is just an old man without many battle skills. Therefore, he does not believe that he has a chance of winning the fight, but promises that he will do his best not to lose to badly, so that Alucha will not be humiliated for supporting him. And as soon as Hemlet begins his attacks, Barl notices that the boy is really very strong and has lethal blows. But in the end, Barl calculates the angle of his opponent's sword and manages to deflect it. Then he strikes him in the chin, winning the first round. At this, both return to their positions, and Barl feels that he has made a serious mistake as an instructor by striking him by accident. And as for Hemlet's, he deduces that Barl's last move was just a cheap trick, so he promises to put an end to any other traps he tries to set. During the fight, Barl notices that his opponent is indeed stronger and faster than him, but Hemlet still has very linear movements which make them easier to predict. Well, seeing that nothing works, Hemlet decides to appeal, using one of his most powerful attacks, which is capable of destroying his opponent's swords. But in the end, Barl manages to dodge the attack and lightly strikes Hemlet in the back, winning the second round as well. After this, the look of revolt in Hemlet's eyes disappears, and now he finally sees Barl as a master worthy of all his respect, and so he organizes a welcome party for Barl as a way of apologizing for his previous rudeness. And with that said, Hemlet asks him to reveal the secret he used to dispel her attack. In this, Barl explains that she only matched her rotation with his, and thus managed to escape the attack. And meanwhile, Handred talks to Barl's father about him and says that he deserves a place that has something better to offer him than that simple village. My friends, the guy is tough, but he has to be a little more shrewd. That old man protagonist who is strong, but doesn't see his own potential. I want to see his maturity, so leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.